Today, we're diving into the incredible field of social psychology. And really, you could just call it the science of us. It's all about how we connect with, influence, and try to make sense of each other. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how you're one person in a quiet job interview and a totally different person in a huge, roaring crowd at a concert? Of course you have. We all do it. And here's the thing, it's not random. Not at all. Well, the answer to that question is all around us, all the time. It's woven into every interaction we have. It's this powerful and often invisible force of our social world. And figuring that out, that's the whole point of social psychology. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we need a solid definition. What exactly is this invisible force that social psychologists are so fascinated by? This right here is the classic definition from Gordon Allport, and every word counts. What's so crucial is that it's not just about our actions, it's about our thoughts and our feelings too. And check out the words imagined or implied. That's the kicker. People don't even have to be in the room with you to influence you. You know, like when you're picking out an outfit for a party, you're picturing what everyone else will think. That's it in action. Let's break that down into three main pillars to make it super clear. First, and this is important, it's a science. It uses experiments and systematic observation, not just hunches. Second, it digs into our inner world, what we're thinking and feeling. And third, and this is the big one, it always looks at the social context, the incredible power of the situation we're in. All right, so we've got a definition, but what do social psychologists actually do? What kind of things do they study? Well, it turns out the field is massive. I mean, they look at literally everything. From how our attitudes get formed in the first place, to the art of persuasion, social influence. They study why some teams just click and others fall apart, what makes a person stop and help a stranger, and on the flip side, what leads to things like aggression and prejudice. It's basically the entire map of our social lives. Now, if you're going to remember one thing, make it this. This is a foundational formula from one of the fathers of social psychology, Kurt Lewin. B equals F of PS. It just means our behavior is a function of our personality, times, and the situation. And this is a total game changer because it tells us you can never fully understand why someone did something just by looking at their personality. You have to look at the situation they were in. So, okay, if our behavior is this complicated mix of person and place, how do psychologists go about explaining it? Well, they tend to look at it through two major lenses. On the one hand, you've got learning theories. These are all about how your past experiences, things like rewards, punishments, or just watching other people, have shaped who you are today. If you got praised for sharing your toys as a kid, you're probably more likely to be a generous person now. On the other hand, you have cognitive theories. These focus on what's going on inside your head right now, how you interpret a situation, what you pay attention to, and how you remember it. And a huge concept in cognitive theory is something called a schema. Honestly, the easiest way to think of a schema is like a mental shortcut or a file folder in your brain. You've got a schema for first dates, for libraries, for dogs. They help us make sense of the world super fast. But, and this is a big but, they can also lead to stereotypes when those mental shortcuts are too simple or just plain wrong. Okay, that was a lot of theory, definitions, formulas, the whole shebang. But what's so cool about social psychology is that once you know the basics, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere. This stuff really matters to you. And I'm not just talking about academic papers. That advertisement that pops up on your feed and feels like it's reading your mind, that's pure social psychology. The secret sauce that makes a team at work really successful, that's group dynamics. This field gives us insight into some of the biggest questions, like where prejudice comes from, and some of the most personal ones, like how we fall in love. Whew, that was a whirlwind tour through a massive topic. So before we wrap up, let's just quickly recap the biggest takeaways. So what do you need to remember? First, the social context. The situation you're in is this incredibly powerful, invisible force shaping you. Second, your behavior is never just about your personality. It's always a combo of who you are and where you are. Third, we can explain that behavior by looking at either external things, like your past learning, or internal things, like your current thoughts. And finally, its principles are running in the background of almost everything you do. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the basics, what are you going to see differently? The next time you're at a party, or in a meeting, or even just scrolling online, take a look around. You might just spot those invisible forces of social psychology at work. What do you think you'll notice first?